And he looked at all the Indians and said, they all are dead. I said, why? Look at what they eat. I said the same I say about Africa. That's why there isn't one African leader that I respect. I can't respect any African leaders because I know his head is confounded. Why? Because look at what he eats.
Is fish good?
Fish rots in the intestines.
Oh. Mm-hmm. That's where the worms go. Mm-hmm. Oh.
Exactly right. Anything that walk, crawls, swim, or fly, and that has a head should not enter my system.
They should have a face.
That's what Phil Valentine said Saturday. Anything that has a face, leave it alone.
But he does worse than that. Because he recommends things that are more acid than that which you eat that have a head.
Speaking of that, Dr. Say, I want to ask you some questions. My name is Marcus Scott Lewis. I'm just a humble, burned out, recovering activist, writer, and poet. And the questions I would like to ask you is, with this New Age movement out here, with all these European herbologists and all these writers, do you wouldn't recommend any of these books or any of these teachings? Now everyone's going back to nature, quote unquote, and heading to all these herbology stores and buying all these products and things. Our people are still confused because of lack of the correct information and misinformation which we receive. So could you give us a little starter on what we should be doing and what things we need to stay away from?
Heading to the forest.
All right.
Heading to the forest with someone that came from the forest. That we have not had. Because some of the best advisors in the United States, counselors, nutritionists, and doctors, trained our brother by the name of Dick Gregory.
All right now. Well,
did he recommend the Bahamian diet? The answer is yes. And what did the Bahamian diet consist of as a base? Soybean. And didn't Mr. George Washington Carver made plastics out of soybean? Yes. So how could he give us the Bahamian diet that is soybean based in the name of nutrition? But we cannot blame Dick Gregory, because he's our brother that I know he loves us and we love him. But he was ill-trained. The student could only regurgitate that which was learned from the teacher. And if the teacher is poorly educated, then the student likewise.
Well, do you think you could start teaching us more now that you've... she wants to ask you a question too, but I want to get this in real quick. In that you are a teacher, and I look at one of your old tapes, and I saw how you talked about the carrot and different things, even certain potatoes. I think sweet potatoes is all right, but the white potatoes is not ain't good.
No, I didn't say that sweet potato was all right. That was made too.
But there's a certain kind of
the red potato, the red rose that was found in Lake Titicaca in Peru. That is where the Irish people became acquainted and took it back to Ireland. Because remember, the Irish people were the first to go to Peru. They did a lot of research in Peru, and they did a lot of things in Peru. And when they found this potato, they took it back to Ireland, and they began to hybridize the potato and get what you call the russet potato, the red rose. But the natural potato looked like the red rose. The red rose, I would recommend that you eat that because it's the first generation away from the mother, from the base, which came from Lake Titicaca, not a sweet potato. A sweet potato has such a high concentration of nitrogen that it would really, play havoc on the system.
Have you written a book?
No, I'm writing one of. It's right in that bag.
Oh, okay, good. So when it's finished, when you take it out the bag, I want to read it.
The bag has these tapes that need to be transcribed.
Oh, okay.
And it would be transcribed as soon as possible to be put into book form, because the book is needed. We have been misled not only by the foreigners that are not part of our race, that dictates to us and tell us what we should and should not eat, but we were also hoodwinked by our brothers that was trained by those people.
Well.
The gorilla does not eat the food of a lion. But the black race eat the food of a lion.
True.
So we can't eat Chinese food.
Well,
We can't eat Caucasian food. We are not Caucasian. We are not Chinese. We are black. And what does that mean? Well, I use the word black, and I use that too loosely because I don't like the word.
What's a good word?
I don't even know. Why call ourselves anything?
The shadows.
No, I am. You call me Negro, you call me nigger, you call me colored boy, you call me black, you call me African. I'm not an African. Because the continent was not named Africa until a white man named it Africa. So what are we?
Planetary.
Thank you very much.
She has a question for you.
Yes, I just want to end because people be talking about how spirulina and wheatgrass is so good. I want you to just explain to them that
who are
it's
you?
no good for. I'm Bayana.
Bayana asked a question about spirulina and wheatgrass. Spirulina, I mean, where does spirulina grow? It's hybrid. And what about the wheatgrass? Hybrid. Wheat kernels. When in my embryonic stages, and I must admit it was later than that because I was in New York practicing this thing already, and I was using wheat to produce wheatgrass to be juice, and here I am with my little cup of wheatgrass juice. I got the best chlorophyll in the world. Man, a little lady, 94 years of age, named Mrs. Holloman, said, "You're out of your mind. You're not going to recommend that to yourself and to no one else." Why, Mrs. Holloman? Because this stuff is poison. Wheatgrass juice. But just a minute, is wheat natural? I said, no, the fendo is natural. The teff is natural, but not the wheat. You make bread out of fendo. You make bread out of the which is the teff, which is the Ethiopian that makes the injera. The brown injera is made from teff. But as far as the wheat, we have to remember the amaranths, which is natural. But this thing we call wheat definitely was made in Europe. So now, when we grow this kernel and we squeeze it, we are getting sugar and starch. So in my brain tell me, don't use it no more. So what you use? Sprout something natural. So I went and got some amaranths, and amaranth seed could be acquired right now in Brooklyn. It grows all over the place. You take the little seeds and you put them on the bed right now, and you cover them with the soil. In 21 days, the wheatgrass sprout. But the amaranths would not sprout in 21 days. Why? The amaranths only sprout once a year in the spring. So I was angry because the amaranth did not sprout. Then the amaranth laughed at me and said, "You want me to sprout along with something hybrid?" Well, I'm very sorry. I only sprout once a year. But the product I produce is food. And when the amaranth sprout came, I was eating amaranth sprout, and I was high for about 3 months. I was on this high, this energy, because the molecular structure is complete, and therefore it deems that stuff electrical. If the molecular structure is incomplete, meaning a hybrid plant, it cannot be electrical. If man could make a substance in a laboratory, such as a vitamin B, vitamin B, C, vitamin B12, inositol, zinc, all this stuff. Hey, look, just a minute. How could you make in a laboratory a substance that would help me biologically or physiologically? If you could do that, and if you could really do that, then you are God. Only nature or God makes something electrical. No man could do that. I'm going to give a simple example. On the planet, minerals are expressed in two forms. One phosphate, one oxide. Meaning what? There are 142 minerals. We begin with gold, silver, opium, iron, phosphorus, iron, magnesium. They come in the form of a rock. 142 different minerals in the planet. They come in the form of a rock. But that rock also have a plant that is representative of that mineral. The plant contains gold. Gold You may ask, well, why should it be so difficult for you to understand that? Don't you take burdock for iron? And what's the difference with iron and gold? They both are minerals. But now you have them in a plant form. Why a plant form? Because the plant, in sending its root into the soil, it converts that solid rock into a liquid digestible substance. The scientists call that process of conversion iontrophoresis. Iontrophoresis could only be accomplished by a plant, not a laboratory. You can't take a piece of rock that is iron into a laboratory and get a liquid from it that's going to be digestible, because now it becomes non-electrical. The plant makes it electrical. And when you drink it, it is pre-digested for you electrically, so that no one snow you. The minerals that the body needs cannot be found in any health food store. No vitamin C, vitamin B, vitamin A. The body is not made up of any alphabetical order. It is made up of minerals. And when those minerals has been depleted by the presence of disease, a disease ensues. So you have to replace them in a natural form, in the form of a rock or a plant. A plant, because it is alive and it is electrical. Why does it have to be electrical? Because the body is electrical. How could you feed an electric body dead food? You just can't do that. That's not consistency. Yes, sir.
Yes, Dr. Sebi. So basically, when a person goes to a hospital and they're given so-called treatments, now basically we know when somebody is treated for something, it has nothing to do with being cured. And when you have something like the American Cancer Society, they mention nothing about curing people. They're just a cancer society, which is they study some more, get some more money, and keep studying, but never really finding a cure, when the cure basically is something that's natural in the ground, where the person can heal itself, the body can heal itself eventually. But yet what they do is they propagandize a natural disease and made a big multi-billion-dollar industry.
Of course, and they're right 100%. If I was a Caucasian,
Thank God you're not.
defending my people and my economic position, do you think that I would undermine that position by telling the world, here is a black man named Dr. Sebi that have cured diabetes, sickle cell anemia, leukemia? Then what's going to happen to his laboratories? What's going to happen to his pharmaceutical laboratories? But why should we be concerned with the American Medical Association?
Anyway.
Why should we be concerned with that? I know I weren't.
And what's the name of this medical thing that goes to Europe and spreading AIDS among our folks? What is it? What's the name of it?
Oh, the World Health Organization.
Yeah.
World Health. Who?
Yeah. Who?
They tell you
WHO. What do you think about them? They're going all over the place.
Death Owl.
I was in Washington, D.C. in the year of 1982. And this brother, who is a doctor, who worked for the WHO, personally told me that they threw in the towel 20 years ago, that they knew that there was no cure for any disease. They never had one. I mean, the physician didn't go to school to learn to cure anyone. The discipline just doesn't house that. So, again, we should not be bringing them up. It's of no consequence.
The only thing is they're killing our folks over there in Africa. When are they going to learn?
They're killing our folks in Africa?
Yeah, they're all coming up with AIDS. Where do they get AIDS from? AIDS is a thing of the mind. Not real. It's memory.
But the African need to be killed.
Oh, well.
I mean, coming from Dr. Sebi, to say that his family need to be killed.
I know what you're saying.
But that's a fact. The African have turned their back on their mother. In fact, the African has never regarded a black woman as being equal to a male. So when you abandon your position, you need to pay the dire consequences. When you abandon your mother, and I'm not talking, talking only saying about the biological mother. I'm talking about that greater mother, Africa. They changed Africa. They made an exchange for Europe in Africa. They deserve to die. Everyone that dies deserves to die, or else he would not be dying.
I think you're right.
Oh, I know I'm right. They wouldn't be dying now.
That's true. Because what is it about the 144,000 that will go and lead and whatever they're going to do? So you got to have somebody that got some sense.
And it's not there. That's why I said that I would prefer to take a shoeshine boy from New York and put him in the presidency in Africa, in any country, and he would do a better job than those that are there now. Because common sense just step out the window. The African doesn't eat anything that came from their ancestors. What do they eat? They eat rice.
They eat potatoes, don't they? Carrot?
Sweet potato.
No, they eat the white potatoes. Those that come here that I've seen, they eat the white potato in with the rice, and they eat the carrots.
Have you ever tried to put a salad bowl beside an African before he eat and see if he's going to eat the salad?
Oh, he's not going to eat it.
You could put a bush rat and some rice.
We got room for one more question on this segment, and then we're going to continue.
Yes, one last question, and I think it's very pertinent here. It seems to be the greatest thing that seems to be plaguing us at this moment, and that's AIDS, of course. Everyone knows someone who has it. I know someone who has it, and pretty much I'd like to get a roundabout viewpoint on what you feel about that.
Yeah.
Well, this book that you raised, if you notice carefully, AIDS. The good news is HIV doesn't cause it.
Well, get to it.
And under here it says Peter Duesberg. This man was the only man that made a statement that was in my favor when I was going through my litigation. This man's a white man. Peter Duesberg said that AIDS was not the result of a virus, and he agreed with me. I've yet to have a brother, physician, or otherwise, that openly agreed with me. Peter Duesberg did. So, this man was taken, well, he was at the University of Berkeley, California. Duesberg, microbiology, biologist. They removed his grants and kick him out, but that was okay. Now they have an organization known as HEAL, and he's heading that. It's all over the world now. In fact, someone wants me to get in touch with them because they're looking for me. But this man was right. AIDS was long coming. This man, by another doctor by the name of, he was a protege of this man, Mr. Duesberg. What's the name of the other one? Dr. Gallo? No, the other one, Dr. I can't call his name, and I could see him. He said that when they went to Africa and inoculated the Africans with the smallpox vaccine, that it was the beginning of AIDS. Smallpox and polio both, but smallpox was the reason. Strecker, Dr. Strecker.
And we're going to, on that note, we're going to be right back at the next segment. You'll see it next week, okay? Hold tight now.
Dr. Love and Dr. Roshan and Dr. Prince, they sat in council, and Phil Valentine was one of them, to kick me out of New York. Our brother that cured AIDS, you want him kicked out of New York? Well, Phil Valentine did that. Phil Valentine, all of them turned against me, which they're really the interest of black folks. And there's a brother among us. Say, for instance, 10 of us set out to do research. A 9 failed. The brother over here, Mr. Simmons,
Oh, yeah, let's talk.
found the cure for AIDS. What us 9 should do? Come to you. Because you did the research and found it. Phil Valentine, Dr. Love, Kanye, Dr. Prince, all of them said, good luck. I said, thank you very much.
What about Dr. Barbara Justice?
She don't like me. And she is right. she should not like me.
And
And I hope that she see this tape, because Dr. Sebi loved the idea that Barbara Justice doesn't like him.
Yeah.
She have to live with that hate herself, and I hope that the hate does not last too long.
also, at the Million Man March, Dr. Sebi, there was I was there.
Well,
And
she has worked with him, the
Alim
Muslim guy
Muhammad,
from
yeah.
Washington. She's worked with him.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Dr. Alim?
Yeah,
Oh, that's a beautiful...
And Dr. Barbara Justice said
They worked
brought
together.
this young brother up who they claimed they had cured of AIDS for 3 years of
Well,
treatment
look what they
of
did to
Cameron from Kenya.
It is impossible.
Sandiford. Look what they did to him.
Cedric Sandiford.
And he was on the air to be cured. And they took him over to Kenya. And because of the lack of money, you know, money always plays the role, and lack of care, I'm going to put that in, that's my word, that Sandiford died.
He had to. Even if I take Kimron, he would have died. What is Kimron? Do anyone here know what is Kimron?
Synthetic.
What?
It's a Pharaoh mixed with something.
AZT.
Ooh.
Made right here in the United States, sent to Japan to be put together as a compound, and then taken to Africa and administered.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. See, also, years ago, my father got out of the hospital, and he was feeling very weak. This was like 1988.
And his name?
And his name, Professor George Simmons. And I remember my father was feeling very weak, and he didn't know what to do. So his friend sent him to Dr. Barbara Justice, and she looked at him and she said, all you can do is just pray.
And wait.
And wait to die. So what happened was a few of my father's friends took him to see Dr. Sebi over here.
Amen.
And my father, if you recall, the first time you met him, he came to your office, told you all his problems. He was this and that, and you said that you didn't even look at him. You said you was busy reading something. And you told him, don't worry about it, you'll be all right in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. You said you'll be back teaching with, without too much of a problem. And lo and behold, my father followed what you told him to do, and he was back teaching.
He's running around now in 1995.
And now he's down in Honduras at your institute, and he went down there with a lot of different maladies, diabetes, prostate cancer, high blood pressure, a whole bunch of things. And he said within 2 days of being down there, he was ready to run some Olympic events.
And he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
And his sugar was down to 93. And they told it was supposed to be amputated, no longer has to be amputated.
What?
And his hair was growing back, did he tell you?
Yeah.
His hair was growing back where it was falling out. The village you are talking about is here. This is the village.
Okay, let me hold it there for a few. Let's get a nice tight shot of it. Good, okay, perfect. All right.
We see the tanks of the thermal waters. This is the Usha village in Central America. And you see these tanks that house the water. They are holding tanks.
Oh.
The thermal water contains a pH of 8.8. It is not like what they have in other places. I heard that there's a hot spring in Cottonwood, Alabama. We don't have a hot spring in Honduras. We have a thermal spring. And the difference of a thermal spring is that the thermal spring is precipitated by volcanic activity, which means that the water has a high concentration of sulfur and phosphorus. Not so for a hot spring. A hot spring is precipitated through a bed of zeolite that's under the ground. And as you know, that zeolite is a mineral that boils water. That doesn't necessarily make it thermal.
So what makes the difference?
That one has sulfur and phosphorus and oxygen in large amount.
Which means what to the body?
It means that the body is receiving a large amount of hydrogen ion concentration that relaxes the body immediately. It plays a very good role on the central nervous system. Stress is gone immediately after you enter the water. And that was the first thing that I did for the professor when he got there. I said, before you eat or go to sleep, you go down there and you take a bath. And we took him down there, he took a bath. Next day he was rejoicing.
Now what happens when stress is relieved from the body?
Well, the body begin to normalize itself and the hormones begin to take their message where they should go. When there's a nerve condition, hormones tend to contract or retain, or they don't do their work. because they are held back. There's a nerve condition. You know, like even the muscles contract. Your face, the muscle in your face contract when there's muscle problem, when there's nerve problem. Bellman palsy is one. Bellman palsy is caused mainly by emotional reaction, and it pulls the muscle in the face to one side. And when the person relaxes again, the muscle relaxes.
So the remedy in Bellman's palsy is to get into an unstressful or relaxed state. In your situation would be to take one of these baths.
That's right. It's not one of these baths. You take bath twice a day. And then you take also the therapy, the internal therapy, which is what? The pavana, the cordoncillo negro, the cypress, and yes, my most favorite, the drago. These are plants that you will never hear in the American Standard Pharmacopoeia. You don't even hear these herbs in the mouth of the herbalist in Honduras or in the United States.